So there's 10 top sports names on the list. Can you hazard a guess at some of the names that might be on the list? Let's see if you're right. So this is the list of the biggest, in terms of monetary value, sports endorsements.
Okay, so I would expect Cristiano Ronaldo to be on that list.
Yep, correct. So he's number 2 on the list.
Lionel Messi.
Yes, Lionel Messi's on the list. It's actually number
I would expect LeBron James to be on the list.
Yep, definitely LeBron James on the list. He's number Can you guess the number 1?
Is it MJ? It's got to be Michael Jordan, no?
Yes, of course. So what some would say is the GOAT. Michael Jordan is definitely number 1 on the list. So let's go through. So this is according to pitch.com. They have estimated that the value of Michael Jordan's deal with Nike, of course, he has the Air Jordan brand, which is hugely popular, is actually worth $1.3 billion.
Wowza.
Yeah. And I think, do you know the story of their partnership and how they initially got together? Actually, there is a film that came out not too long ago called Air, and I think that talks about the partnership and how that came about. But I believe that at the time, Nike was still pretty much an up-and-coming company. They had been trading for a number of years, but they weren't that huge when it comes to sport, which is mind-boggling to think about Nike not being a huge name in sport, right? It's quite, bizarre, because I think for most of our lives, Nike has been associated with sport, but at the time they weren't. And Michael Jordan was this huge prospect. He was very, very talented, very successful in terms of, how amazing he was at basketball. And I think at the time, the leading sports brand for basketball was actually Converse, believe it or not. In terms of NBA.
NBA, Converse.
In terms of NBA, I think Magic Johnson signed a deal for a couple of $100,000 with Converse, and at the time it was seen as, huge. So when Michael Jordan did his deal with Nike, they didn't have the same level of money as Converse to offer Michael Jordan and other Nike athletes. So what they did was they offered Michael Jordan a stake. So they said...
So that's why they offered him a stake.
Yeah, because they didn't have the money at the time. They were still an up-and-coming company. And Michael Jordan effectively kind of took a risk by partnering with Nike, an up-and-coming company. So he took a stake.
Where they gave him a stake. I knew they gave him a stake, but I didn't know how that happened or why they gave him a stake.
Yeah, so that's how it came about. And so I think the first shoe was their Air Jordan, and it was huge. And not just that at the time, I think they had certain colours on the shoes. And I think at the time, athletes were supposed to wear, trainers that matched with the uniforms. I think he was supposed to wear sort of plain white sneakers. So he got a fine each time he wore the Air Jordans, and Nike paid the fine off. Yeah,
and I think they kept on paying it because they kept on getting lots of publicity, because every time he wore it, it would be in the papers and so on.
Yeah, it would be in the papers,
So it's actually great advertisement for them.
It was a great advertisement, and obviously people tend to love things that are a bit rebellious. That tends to be what wins a lot of the time. Things that are a bit, raging against the machine, as it were, to speak. So, I think that also added to the notoriety. And then, of course, with Michael Jordan being the superstar that he was, that made it even better. And funnily enough, since he retired, I think he retired years ago in the early 2000s, the Air Jordan has continued to be incredibly popular. So
yeah, it seems like some kind of people are collecting it and stuff.
Yes, yeah, a lot of people collect the Jordans, different colorways, and it's been hugely lucrative for Michael Jordan. And having a stake, having some royalties was a game changer, for Michael Jordan. So yes, you're right, he's number 1. So let's go through some of the other people on the list. So we had Cristiano Ronaldo, who has a deal with Nike, and apparently the value of that deal is actually $1 billion.
Wow.
Yeah, which is huge because
phenomenal.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, Cristiano Ronaldo is considered one of the best football players in the world, and football is a global sport, so not too surprising. Interestingly enough, he actually signed a lifetime deal with Nike, and he was apparently the third person to do so after Michael Jordan and LeBron James. So I think in order to get him to that lifetime deal, they would have had to put up a lot of money. That's what it seems like.
Yeah, so they're saying in Office Sports website is saying that Michael Jordan was paid $256 million from Nike in 2022 alone.
Oh, wow.
Bearing in mind, this is somebody that retired, 20 years ago?
Yeah.
$256 million from Nike in 2022. And to put that in context, in 2023, the highest paid player was Cristiano Ronaldo. He had $136 million for the year. Lionel Messi was second with $130 million. So that means Michael Jordan has got paid $100 million more than Cristiano Ronaldo, and he's not even playing. It's phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. So he's making incredible money from Jordan. So yeah, what a deal. Great deal.
Yeah, huge deal. So on number 3 on the list was LeBron James with Nike. Again, the value is $1 billion.
Which is fantastic. Oh, because he's got a lifetime contract.
Yeah.
Which is bizarre. What does that even mean? So they get paid every year?
I think it just means that...
The rest of their lives.
Yeah, it's like an exclusivity deal, isn't it? So he'll partner with Nike.
Oh, I see.
Promote Nike for the rest of his life, I guess, or maybe until his 60s.
Oh, I see. Interesting.
Yeah.
So I guess that secures their retirement as well. That means when they're retired, they've also got that money there. That's interesting. Coming in, that's a good package.
So fourth on the list is Lionel Messi with Adidas. Again, his contract is reportedly estimated to be worth $1 billion as well. And then moving on to tennis now. So Roger Federer and Uniqlo, they had a deal valued at $300 million.
Okay, so this is significantly less than the other ones. And that's tennis, isn't it? And, Roger Federer, as tennis player, legend even, he was, brilliant for many, many years. And, I think he had his line, didn't he? I think he had maybe like a blazer. I remember he always coming with a blazer. And he had an RF brand line, which actually looked pretty good as well. So
interestingly enough, Roger Federer allegedly said that Nike wouldn't support him towards the end of his career. And I guess that's why he then signed a deal with Uniqlo.
That must be a new thing, him changing to Uniqlo, no?
Yeah, presumably clothing and other things. And therefore then he moved to Uniqlo for $300 million, which is quite interesting because I don't actually associate Uniqlo with professional athletes. So perhaps this is them foraying into professional sports, hence why they're willing to give a significant contract to an athlete towards the end of their career. So I'll just run through the rest of the top 10. So number 6, you had Rory McIlroy, who's also a golf player with Nike, with a contract reportedly worth $250 million. Then we had Steph Curry, who's an NBA player with a deal with Under Armour, reportedly worth $215 million. Then we have Derrick Rose, who's an NBA player as well, with a deal with Adidas, reportedly worth $185 million. David Beckham, former football player, a deal with Adidas, reportedly worth $160 million. And the last on the list was Tiger Woods. So let us know if there's anyone who was on that top 10 list that you were surprised about. Let us know your comments and your thoughts and your feedback. You can find us on TikTok and on Instagram at Business Key Pod. And we'll see you next Wednesday. Bye.
Bye.